What's up, guys? It's TechnoViking23 coming to you today with a little bit more commentary about Destiny and the Taken King expansion. And today I'm going to be talking about something that I think is a major problem with this expansion and a major problem that has plagued Destiny for most of its first year. And that is what I consider to be a content void between DLCs. Now there are a lot more issues I'm finding with Taken King, a lot of big problems I see actually with this DLC that I'm going to do in a separate video. But for me, the most glaring issue with Destiny is still it's the same old thing. Yet again, no matter how many new coats of paint they try to put on this game, no matter how many new features they try to tell us are in the game, no matter how they try to dress it up, at the bottom line with Destiny is that there just simply is not enough content in this game to make it enjoyable for a long period of time. And the Taken King continues on that trend, and part of the problem I'm already starting to see, even after only playing the game for about a week and a half or so, is that there's going to be another big content drought between the Taken King and whatever DLC Bungie comes up with next, which I'm assuming from a lot of the stuff we're seeing in Taken King with some of the back lore, some of the Grimoire cards, and some of the missions is probably going to be a Cabal DLC. But again, we have the same problem that we had after the initial game came out. There wasn't much to do after a couple weeks until Dark Below came out, which a lot of people agree was a very lackluster $20 DLC. And then you had another huge content drop with House of Wolves, which they even pushed back. They pushed House of Wolves back a few months to make sure they put more stuff in it. And then if House of Wolves came out, and again, it was just a very simple, boring, repetitive grind again after a couple of weeks, and people were quite bored with House of Wolves. Again, for $20, not a very good DLC. So now we have the same problem again with the Taken King, which of course cost $40 for most people, or in some cases a lot more, which, in my opinion is a pretty big ripoff. This expansion, to me, is just not worth $40. You'll hear a lot of people saying it is. It's like a whole brand new game, but I completely disagree with that. And in the video I'm doing later, I will highlight all the problems I'm having so far with the Taken King, but I wanted to just comment on this one shortly and talk about what I see as being the biggest issue. So what I'm finding out so far is that after you play through the initial couple hours of the new story, which, there are some new things in there, there's some new cutscenes and things that are really well done, like I said before. The problem is that's a very small part of this DLC. That's only like a short period of time that you're going to be playing when you go through the story. The problem is then once you get into the meat and potatoes of the Taken King, you've got the quest system, and you've got the new strikes, you've got the new raid, of course. And those are all some very nice things, but the problem is the new strikes are very well done, and I said that in my other video. I really like the new mechanics. I'm really enjoying playing the new strikes. The problem is there's only a handful of them. And when you have to go back and play some of those older vanilla strikes, they're just really bland and boring. And, if I'm only going to have a handful of new strikes to play for the next 4 or 5 months, I'm going to get pretty bored. I can tell you right now. As nice as some of the new mechanics are, you can only play them over and over again so many times until you get bored of doing the same thing over and over again. I think the raid looked really good. I have not had a chance to play it yet since I'm not high enough light level, and that's another problem I'm going to talk about here. But the raid looked pretty good. It looked very difficult, and I don't see it being something that's going to be very popular among casual players or looking for group players. It just seems like it's just as hard, if not harder, than the Vault of Glass, and I don't really see randoms having much enjoyment out of the raid. And the other thing, too, is once you get that raid finished and you run it a couple of times, again, we're at the same thing. What is there to do in the game? I understand a lot of people, for whatever reason, just love to run the same content over and over again. I really don't understand it. I do come from an MMO background, so I understand grind, and I understand playing things over and over again. The problem is when you play an MMO game, you just get a ton of content to play. It's very hard to go through it all unless you're a very hardcore player and get bored of it. But several MMOs that I've played over the years, I never get bored of playing the content. There's always something kind of fresh to do. There's always some things that are different. And in most MMOs, they allow the players to kind of dictate their experiences. Whereas with Bungie and Activision with Destiny, it's always them trying to tell us how they want us to play the game. It's always them patching things to tell us how they want us to play the game, etc., etc. And the quest system is a big problem with this too, because as I've said in my last video, I do enjoy some of the quests. Some of them are very well done. Some of them are pretty cool, and you do get some pretty unique rewards. But for the majority of them, you're just doing the same repetitive grind fest over and over for a very lackluster reward or item that you're going to get. And I'm going to use a personal example from the game I got very excited when I got to the Reef and they had new quests from Petra and especially Varix. I love Varix. I think Varix is one of the coolest characters in this game. He was probably the best thing that came out of House of Wolves. I love how he talks. I love. He's a great character. Unfortunately, he's not very well developed in the game. You have to read all the Grimoire stuff as usual. But I was really excited to find out that Varix had some quests for me to do. I was like, oh sweet, we still get to work with Varix. We still get to do some stuff with him. And so I got all excited. I go to the Reef. I pick up all these new quests. And then Varric sends me on this quest to deal with the Fallen on Mars. So that's pretty cool. The Fallen are expanding to Mars, which, they're now on almost all the planets in the game. Thought that was kind of interesting until I get into these missions where I'm chasing down the remnants of the House of Wolves. And what are we doing? We are going through the exact same Cabal maps that we did back in Vanilla Destiny. Just now, instead of Cabal, they have Fallen enemies in them. This is just so incredibly lazy. I'm thinking here, I should have known better. I'm thinking here, Varix is giving me some quests on Mars. There's going to be some new areas on Mars to go explore where the Fallen are trying to hole up in some other areas. And then no, it's just playing through the old Cabal bases. There's a part where you have to fight a new Fallen boss. It's a new Sipix Prime copy. And he's in the same area where you went to charge the Eye of the Gate Lord. And it's just like, you get all these new quest missions, but you're playing the exact same content over and over again. I have never seen a company with a video game be able to recycle the amount of content that Bungie does in terms of the patrol areas, in terms of the planet areas. Even a lot of the new stuff that you're getting in the Taken King, like you'll have new quest nodes on each planet. You're just going through areas you've already been through many times before. So they're doing the whole thing. House of Wolves, the big thing was, let's just run the current levels backwards. Let's just do that, and people won't know the difference. And now it's like they don't even care. They just blatantly are throwing you back into the exact same areas you've already played again and again and again. So that's my thing is once you get past the newness of the Taken King, once you get past the initial, it's a new DLC, and the excitement for that, you will find that you're just doing the exact same things over and over and over again. No matter how Bungie tries to change the system or the light level or whatever they try to do to make Destiny seem fresh and new, at the end of the day, you are doing the exact same thing that you did in year one over and over and over again. You're just grinding the exact same content. It's going to turn into, as I thought in year one, a very unenjoyable grind. There's not really a lot of enjoyable content once you get through the initial first couple hours of the Taken King. The Dreadnought to me is very boring. It's very repetitive. I'm going to do a whole separate video on that, but I see so many people praising the Dreadnought, but then I go into it and it's like, it's just more of a grind. The thing is, yeah, you can find all these secret chests and so-called loot-filled fortress, but I go in there, I get a drop off an enemy, I go and I summon the Hive champion or Cabal champion or whatever, and then I kill the guy and I get the rune that I have to do 50 enemy kills without dying with. I go through and I do all this, and I do all this grind, and I spend this 20 minutes doing all this. And then I get to the end and I get a key for this chest. I go open this chest, and what do I get out of this chest? I get a regular rune or I get a blue engram. And I'm sitting there thinking, is this a joke? Because I can go, if I want blue engrams, I can go down to the Cosmodrome and farm level 4 dregs for like 5 minutes and get 3 blue engrams. Why should I spend all this time running around doing all this nonsense in the Dreadnought for 20 minutes to get 1 blue engram? It's just a joke. Court of Oryx is kind of the same thing. Once you get through it a few times, it's the same thing over and over again. The bosses are not very difficult. If you have a team that even has a bit of a pulse, you will smash through these bosses so quick. Even on the second tier difficulty, you can do it with 2 players. You can do it with 2 people and completely destroy these bosses. They're not very difficult at all. Bungie tried to make it seem like Court of Oryx is going to be this really hard, tough thing. When they did their stream, they tried to make the content seem pretty difficult. But Court of Oryx is good if you want to farm gear to try to raise your light level. That's one thing I found it useful for, but it just really, again, after you've gone through it a few times, it just wears off, and it's like, I can't see doing this over and over and over again for the next 4 to 5 months until we get the next DLC, if Bungie sticks to their normal DLC schedule as they've gone through. So that's just the problem with the game overall. It's just, you're just doing the same stuff over and over and over again. And then with your gear, you're going to hit a gear plateau eventually. It's a lot easier to get gear now, but you're going to hit a plateau with your light level, and you're going to be stuck there for a while. It's just like it was in year one, where you're having to chase that light level again in order to make your Guardian more effective. Part of my problem is, like with my Warlock, which is the character I've been playing the most, my light level right now is about, I think, 288, which is still too low to play the raid. And I've been stuck there for forever. I get all kinds of drops. I've gone and done all the heroic strikes. I'm doing the Court of Oryx, and I'm just getting drops that are either lower level or the same level as what I already have. The one thing holding me back is I have mostly all 290 gear, but then I have a ghost that's only level 220. So until I can find a new ghost, I'm not able to raise my overall light level up. Now I know I can buy a 280 ghost from the Vanguard or the Crucible, but I'm still working on getting enough marks to take care of that. But again, it's the same thing. You're just chasing that higher light level gear, and you're going to reach gear plateaus. And the thought process I was also thinking of was, I said, eventually I'm going to get over 290 light. I'm going to be able to play the raid, and you can get those 300 level items and higher in the raid, and that's the only way you're going to be able to raise your light level once you reach the 290s from playing the regular PvE content. My whole thought process was, well, what's the point? You're going to play the raid, and you're going to get some of those 300 level, and you raise your light level up. But I don't want to keep playing the raid over and over again. It's the same thing every time. I just don't understand this mentality that the developer has with this, where they want you to play the same content over and over and over again. And it just, I don't know. So I play the raid once, I get a couple of 300 level items, and then what? What am I playing for at that point? That was what my main thought process was after thinking about this is, what am I going to do for the next 4 to 5 months? I'm not going to keep playing the same content over and over again. I just don't know, guys. Now, this wouldn't have been a problem if Bungie had not gotten rid of all the old Year 1 stuff. Like, there's really no point to playing Prison of Elders now. There's no point to really doing the Vault of Glass or doing the Crota's End raid. There's really no point to doing that, and I think that was a huge mistake for them because what they've ultimately done is further limit the content in the game. Now, if you were able to still play some of that on a current game level, like if you could go back in and play Vault of Glass on a heroic level or play Crota's End on the current light level system, or even do Prison of Elders, then there would be a lot more activities to do in the game, and I think it would be much more enjoyable. That's what a lot of people try to compare this to an MMO, but if you look at an MMO, when you log into an MMO every day, it's like you've just got a plethora of stuff you can go do. You want to go do a dungeon, you want to go do some raids, you want to just go run out and patrol and kill trash mobs, you want to just do quests, you want to do PvP. You could do that in Destiny. The problem is there just isn't enough of it. There's not a whole lot of them to go out there and do. And once you get through it all, like I said with the questing system, you're just going back to the exact same areas you did in Year 1 and you're playing through them all over again. There's very few actual new locations. I got really excited. Eris gave me this quest, and it looked like it was the start of an exotic quest. And she sent me back to go kill the Centurion in the Rasputin level. And I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be cool. We're going into another new level, because it was actually a new node on the map. It wasn't the same story mission I played earlier. So I go on that new node in the map, and guess what? It's the exact same story mission I already played before. It's just when you get to the very end, it opens up a new level, and I got kind of excited for that because I'm like, oh, we're going down in subterranean level of Rasputin's bunker, and we haven't been here before, and this is going to be really cool. And it was this kind of neat looking room. And then the door opens and a Centurion comes out, and I kill the Centurion, and that's it. I thought I was going to get to access this whole new exploration area, but no, it's just more of the same with this game. So let me know what you guys think. Do you think there's going to be another content drought? Because I really seriously think there will be. I know a lot of people after House of Wolves were just really bored of the game. There wasn't much to do between House of Wolves and Taken King. And despite the new coat of paint that Taken King got, I know a lot of people that's what they're mainly focusing on right now, but I'm already starting to see through that. I'm seeing a lot of the same common issues with the Taken King that we've had in all of Year 1. It doesn't matter what Bungie does to try to dress it up and change it. At the very core of Destiny, it's the same game, and you're going to still have the same problems and the same issues here. If you're someone who does not like the endless repetitive grind, I really, again, don't think this is going to be the game for you, and I would pass on this DLC if you have not already, if you're someone who did not like having to repeat all the content in Year 1, because you're going to just have to do the same thing here until they bring out the next DLC, which at this point with their track record, I'm willing to bet it'll be $20 and it'll be a couple of missions and not much content, and we'll be dealing with the exact same thing again. It's really unfortunate that Bungie has this game that has so much potential, and yet they continue to just tread water with this game. And I'm not sure if it's just the player base that they've already acquired. People seem to be okay with this, And I think I'm going to have another video coming out later where I'm talking about how Destiny in general is bad for AAA gaming. And I'm going to talk about how gamers in general these days just seem to be sheep. It seems like we have a lot of much younger gamers who don't seem to know the difference between good content and bad content. And people who just, if they like this, that's fine. More power to you. If you love the endless repetitive grind, That's great. Personally, myself, as someone who grew up playing much better video games over the years, I just think it's despicable what Bungie does with this game in terms of the amount of actual content there is to play. But there seem to just be a legion of people out there who love this kind of gameplay, and this is, I guess, is why Call of Duty continues to succeed, and this is why Bungie and Destiny will continue to succeed because not enough people care about having actual meaningful content to play in this game. So let me know your thoughts and opinions below, guys. Love to hear what you think. But I personally am very concerned that we're going to have another content drought with Destiny after people are done with the initial stuff to play in the Taken King, and they realize you're just doing the exact same stuff all over again in terms of just playing the same areas, going through everything over and over. And it continues to amaze me how Bungie continues to stretch out that release year one content over and over with the same maps. So very unfortunate, guys. Like I said, this is just my opinion, but we'll love to hear what you guys think. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you guys are having a great day, and I will see you again next time.